Good morning. You are listening to National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the Internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on RowellAuctions.com, as they are the host of this program. Additionally, this show will be posted on YouTube.com. We are going to be talking about real estate auctions, past auctions, upcoming auctions, different real estate markets across the countries. We have lots of topics today. We've got guests calling in that are going to be from, let me name them here, Kansas, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia. So pretty exciting, and very, very happy to be with you this Friday. I just got back from Boston, as a matter of fact. I've been talking to you about the auction bill, something that is dear to my heart, and I've got a caller in, and maybe we can discuss it with him. Good morning. You're on the air. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, hi. Is this Doug Dennison?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Doug. Chris Longley. How are you?
Hey, Chris. Wonderful to hear you, and thank you for calling in. Tell us who you are, what's your position, what's your firm, all about that kind of good stuff.
All right. Well, first, thanks, Doug, for letting me join you this morning. My name's Chris Longley, and I'm the Deputy Executive Director for the National Auctioneers Association. We're the world's largest professional association that's dedicated to the auction professional, and in turn, we are the voice of the auctioneer and the auction industry in the United States, which is about $250 billion every year, and that doesn't factor in a lot of popular sites like eBay and others. So the live auction industry is very massive. My role here at the NA is not only to help manage our association, which has thousands of auctioneers throughout the United States and the world, but also to serve as the industry spokesperson and liaison to a lot of our partners that we have with other organizations such as the USA Today and the National Association of Bankruptcy Trustees and others. So I wear a lot of hats for the auctioneers out there.
I can see that. You're the Deputy Executive Director, from my understanding, and you're in Overland Park, Kansas, and again, represent auctioneers and really the whole auction profession, the bidders, the people we serve, and thank you for being on the show. Right before you got on, I just started to talk a little bit about the auction bill and the fact that I was in Boston last week in Senator Brown's Boston office, and so if you would let me go through a little bit of the chronological order here, and then you can weigh in on the auction bill, and we can talk a little bit about it. The President Obama, when he did the State of the Union address earlier this year, he talked about ways of saving money for the budget and talking about actually selling some government assets that were surplus property and unused, and bring money back into the budget, and also make sure that we don't waste money, because, as you know, anytime there's an asset that is not being used, it still costs money in a variety of ways for maintenance and lack of taxes coming in. And then he followed up in a budget session and a budget address in Baltimore, Maryland on, I believe it was February 14th. And to quote, he says, and he's talking about saving money and trying to balance the budget, all that kind of stuff. And to quote, he says, to take just one example, by getting rid of 14,000 office buildings, lots, and government-owned properties we no longer need, we can save taxpayers billions of dollars. And so that, of course, excited me. I've done a lot of government auctions and believe auctions are the best way to go through selling government assets, because they provide transparency and fairness And then I found out that there's an auction bill, and there is a House bill that's already, I think it started back in May, and Congressman Denham from California has got, I think it's 26 co-sponsors, and basically trying to make sure that the government sells its surplus property and uses it wisely. And then Senator Brown on the Senate side introduced the bill on the Senate side, and that is, I think he just started August 2nd, I believe is the timing.
Yep.
And he wants to, sell the properties. And there was a article, and I'm going to read it quickly. It says, GOP senator to propose auction of federal properties to pay down deficit. This was on August 4th. Senator Scott Brown, Republican from Massachusetts, plans to propose legislation that would order the auction of up to 45,000 unused or underused government properties in order to raise funds to reduce the nation's deficit, the Boston Herald reported on Thursday. Brown said he expects his legislation could raise up to $15 billion towards deficit reduction while streamlining the management of federal assets. There is a tremendous amount of surplus property, Brown said. We could save over $15 billion. That's real money. We'd be converting underutilized real estate into reductions into the federal deficit. The legislation would appoint a 7-person commission to select properties and organize the sale. According to a description of the legislation released by Brown's office, the chairman of that commission would require confirmation by the Senate. The bill will be co-sponsored by Representative Jeff Denham, Republican, California, and could be included as one of the yet-to-be-determined deficit-cutting measures in next year's budget. Well, that sounds to me like it's a win-win for taxpayers, for the government, raising funds, all that kind of stuff. But you're the expert in the auction world. You tell me what you weigh in on this subject, if you would.
All right. Well, the Civilian Property Realignment Act, which is what the bill is being called.
Yep.
In the House, it's H.R. 1734, and in the Senate, it's S. 1503, and it is, I think, like you said, a win-win. Obviously, the politicians in Washington are looking at it from, as you said, $15 billion in, debt reductions, capital back to the feds. But, we also can't forget, how positive, selling these assets will be to the communities they're in. These are buildings that are vacant. There's a lot of community plight many times. There are some buildings that are in phenomenal condition, just are waiting for a user, an end user.
Right.
But because Uncle Sam's a landlord and they're not using it, it's not being used to its full potential. And that's a drain for the taxpayer because the taxpayer is paying for its maintenance and its upkeep. And so let's sell it. Let's help everyone in the situation. Let's reduce our debt because I know some pretty fast-talking auctioneers, and I don't know a single one who could keep up with the rate of our national debt right now. I'd like to think I could probably bid call pretty fast, but I can't even keep up with the numbers right now that are being spent by our government. And so, the auction model and using the auction method of marketing to sell these assets is phenomenal. We're going to return these properties back to use. We have investors, entrepreneurs, people who have a use for these facilities, and in return, we're going to revitalize these local communities where these buildings have sat vacant or this land has not been utilized, create jobs. They say for every dollar that's spent locally, it's turned multiple times, more than 3 times. I mean, we're selling a building. Well, we're going to need to bring in the plumber and the electrician to do some upkeep.
Yes.
We're going to hire the roofers. We're going to be buying supplies from the local merchants. All of these things stir our economy, and right now it's a positive message coming from Washington, when right now the other messages we hear are shutdowns, cutting, government programs and services, tax increases. Well, this is one measure that can help maybe alleviate a lot of those challenges that we're seeing in Washington, because there's a lot of capital right there, a lot of assets that are sitting there. The taxpayers have paid for it, and quite honestly, the taxpayers deserve a return on it. And the positives of selling it is not only are we selling it and getting a return back to the taxpayers, but we're going to be offering an added bonus by having that those buildings and facilities have a returning, providing to the community by jobs and whatever uses are made out of those buildings when they're purchased. So it is a wonderful positive. I'm hoping Washington sees the value in it, and utilizes the auction method to find the highest dollar value for these properties and to do it quickly. That's the benefits that we see with an auction, as you know.
Well, there's a couple good points that you bring up. Number one, that they're being unused, and that is actually hurting their neighbors. And it's kind of a situation like, we know residentially, if there's a foreclosure in the neighborhood and it is deteriorating and it's not being used, and add the grass isn't being cut or it's being vandalized, that hurts the entire neighborhood. Now let's switch gears, because the properties we're talking about aren't residential homes. They're land parcels, they're warehouses, they're office buildings. But if there is a row of buildings on a street, and one of them is your United States government property that's not being used, and whether it's boarded up or not, it's still not being used, that undermines the entire value of that entire street.
Absolutely.
Because it is, if it was booming and had an end user, by the way, that actually pays taxes, and like you said, provides jobs, provides services, buys the plumber services, that actually brings up the value of everybody on that street. And another point, I was down in South Florida couple of weeks ago and was meeting with a city real estate person, and he was saying, if this bill is passed, this is going to be a trickle-down theory to the states and the cities and the counties. Number one, that now you're going to have a taxpayer, so that helps. Number one, and number two, it's basically community redevelopment, and
Absolutely.
That is a good thing. And another point you talked about, and because these are the taxpayer properties, and I want to go a step further. I want the taxpayers to have a right to be able to bid on these properties. I don't like it when all of a sudden they're grouped into 800 assets, and a great big hedge fund buys them. I like it when an individual in that neighborhood, maybe even the neighbor, the neighboring commercial property, gets a chance to bid. He may not win, okay, but if he has a chance to participate, I think that's the American way, and I want to give everybody a chance to bid on these properties, and that's why I was in Boston to meet with Senator Brown's aides and kind of tell them the success of auctions, government auctions, the fairness and transparency, and please talk about that. Tell us why auctions are good and fair, transparent. Give us some information on that.
Well, you hit on much of it, Doug. I mean, auction in the American model, it is the fairest and best way of just showcasing the free market system that we have here. Like you had mentioned, open, public, transparent. That's what taxpayers want.
Yes.
Taxpayers have, had to go through all the economic crisis, the closed-door meetings that have resulted in their 401ks turning into 101ks and,
Yes.
and a lot of bailouts and tax breaks and this is the perfect opportunity for Washington to say everyone has an opportunity to bid. This is your neighborhood. So like you said, the business next door, maybe they're looking at expanding. Give them an opportunity to participate in the auction and bid on that asset. Don't bundle it with all these other properties that are not even in the same state or
Yes.
city or anywhere. Break it down. Take it to the community. The community will be your best investors many times because they see the value in that facility. The local business owners in that community will know, my business would benefit if I could add more, storage space. And here's some property that the feds are going to be selling, and now I can expand my inventory, hire more people, and increase my production and get back to work. And so, the auction model is going to be the best model, and you said it, public, transparent. That is the key. Everyone can play the game. There's no buyer-seller behind closed doors. Everyone's a potential buyer. And we're all going to be involved, and we're all going to be able to participate. Now, we may not win the bid. I may have a price in mind
Yep.
that I'm willing to bid, but, I also have to realize the person on my right, on my left, may be willing to pay more. Maybe they want it that much more. But that's the beauty of an auction, is that you get to set your price. You get to say, this is where I want to pay. Now, also the beauty of the competitive bidding magic of an auction is that others also have a choice, and they can choose to find more value in it. To them, they see something that you don't see, and to them, that's more valuable. So you have public and transparency. It's quick. We joke, we're talking about Washington right now. That's one thing that is not quick. The turnaround of an auction cycle, we can help, Uncle Sam, turn these assets, the 45,000 properties, billions of dollars. This can be done in months, not years, not decades, but within months, by being able to create a competitive marketplace, advertise, promote, market the properties, and, sell them 45, 60 days from the day we sign papers. We could have an auction, and that property could be turned around and have a new owner within months. And that's how we're going to get out of this recession. So the process of an auction is quick, and that provides, immediate answers to what we need. It's the most effective price discovery method ever. Auctions have existed for over 2,000 years. We have records dating back to Babylon where auctions existed. I always joke that we're the second oldest profession, but, this is, an industry that has existed time and time again. And why does it exist? Because it works. If we want to talk about, setting prices, the biggest auction takes place Monday through Friday in New York City, and it's called Wall Street. Traders, who are offering back and forth prices on stocks and bonds. We know at the end of the day the value of a company because the bidders, the brokers, are telling you, I think Walmart's worth this much today. Well, yeah. Walmart had a good report. Well, I'm willing to pay more because there's that much more value in it. Now, if we have a bad day, they're going to adjust their bidding accordingly. But it's proven. And so we know the value at the end of the day, what these companies are worth. It's the same with a Van Gogh. If we sell classic priceless pieces of art, we call them priceless, but there is a price. And what is that price? Well, auction is the only method that's going to allow you to discover that. You can't arbitrarily say, I'm going to put $60 million, I'm going to pay $60 million for this piece of art. Well, what happens if I tell you the very next day, well, there are 3 people who are willing to pay $80 million? You're going to kick yourself because you're going, I just lost $20 million of potential. So an auction is going to allow you to set that price. And so we are going to tell you what it's worth. No more, no less. Because if it was worth more, bidders would pay more. If it's worth less, bidders would have stopped. So that's the beauty of an auction with price discovery. We'll tell you what these pieces of property, the land, the facilities are worth. And, we're going to turn it around and get it back in the community right away. And finally, let's just be honest. Auctions are fun. I mean, this is the only industry, and this is why I love our industry, outside of casino gaming, which is an industry I worked for. It's the only business where people walk away saying, I want it. I want it. Well, actually, you paid with a credit card or you financed it, but, people enjoy the thrill of the competition, and it also goes to our American just way of living. How we see things is, we're competitive, and we don't like to lose. And, for auctions, that's fantastic. We love competition. That's what we thrive on, and that's how we help our sellers and our buyers.
It's a great way to go. I always call it the best appraisal in the world, because you've got buyers and sellers that are willing to do it right then and there. And when you guess on what a property value is worth, well, that's a guess. But if you have bidders and you properly expose the property to the market, that's the best way. Tell us how people can get a hold of you, Chris, because I know this is getting it's gathering steam, this auction bill. And what's it called again? The civil, what's it called? Civil Realignment?
No, I'm just trying to remember. It's the Civilian Property Realignment Act.
Okay.
They've given it the acronym CPRA.
Yep.
And I encourage people to follow it. Encourage your congressmen, your senators to get behind this bill. It is, again, as you had said, it's a win-win.
Yes.
It's wonderful for taxpayers. It's wonderful for local municipalities and communities across the country who possess these properties, and it's great for our government. And this is one of those things that is going to help revitalize and bring our country back into good standing. Create jobs. Help communities get back on track. It's been a tough road the last couple of years.
Yes, it has.
And how we get out of that situation, how do we get out of that rut, is by doing measures like this, and getting our federal government to be more efficient in how it maintains and holds on to its properties. If it's not being used, sell it. There's someone else who will use it. So, if anyone is ever looking for more information about the auction industry or auctioneers, we encourage you to go to auctioneers.org. Again, that's www.auctioneers.org. That's the National Auctioneers Association. You can go to our website. You can also go to our consumer website at naaauction.com. This website provides you with history, information about the auction industry, how to find an auctioneer. You have access to the directory of all of the National Auctioneers Association members, as well as our calendar to see what auctions are coming up. If you're interested in an auction, you can search our calendar and maybe find something in your local neighborhood that may be of interest.
Well, thank you so much for Chris for getting on the show. Please, we'll talk more about this in the upcoming weeks. We're going to need updates, but thank you so much for calling in. You have a great Friday.
Thank you. You have a wonderful weekend. Have a great day.
Take care. Okay, that was Chris Longley. He is the Deputy Executive Director of the National Auctioneers Association. Had a whole bunch of good points. We need to get this auction bill passed. It's House Bill 1734, H.R. 1734, and Senate Bill S. 1503. This is a win-win for us taxpayers. We need to get it done. And again, I appreciate you all listening. We're going to go to a break, and then we'll be right back. We'll be talking from people all across the country. Thank you.
Letty and Bo Bozard and Jeff King talk about the latest going on at Bozard Ford.
We just had the best month we've ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. Our sales numbers were 20% above our best record month ever. We beat every Jacksonville Ford dealer in sales volume for the month of July. So it was just a terrific month.
And it didn't just, and the success of the month wasn't just tied to sales. Parts and service had record months as well. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, there is no recession at State Road 16 and I-95 at the outlet malls because we're having a great time, and doing big business at Bozard Ford right now.
You know, not only did it feel great to break the records and beat the guys up in Jacksonville, but what felt the best is the way that we did it. We're trying to do business the right way. We've put that message out there to the folks in our community, and they're coming out and doing business with us because they like the way we're doing business.
When you're out our way, come see us at Bozard Ford at the outlet malls.
Licensed by the state as a skilled nursing facility and certified for a broad range of payer types, the Ponce Therapy Care Center's team of professionals is committed to providing the best nursing care and rehabilitation services. Choosing a skilled nursing facility for a loved one is always a difficult decision. At the Ponce Therapy Care Center, our admissions and social service staff assist you in making an informed, caring decision. We provide information about our facility, determine your payment options, and strategize about your loved one's regimen of care, length of stay, and expected discharge to home. At the Ponce Therapy Care Center, we are proud that over 90% of those admitted to our rehabilitation program successfully return to home. In an industry that is often seen as the final alternative, our goal is to become your first option and facility of choice for skilled nursing and rehab services. The Ponce Therapy Care Center is located at 1999 Old Moultrie Road. Call us at 824-3311 or visit us online at poncecarecenter.com.
It's time to visit the St. John's Flea Market. Great deals every weekend. Every weekend there's more, too. Great bargains and great food and those great deals at the St. John's Flea Market. Get off I-95 at State Road 207. That's I-95 at 207. And if you want to be a vendor, hey, booth rentals start at only $10 a day. Churches and charities, you can get a free booth 2 days a month. And for everybody else, there's always great deals at the St. John's Flea Market. Call them up, 824-4210, or go to stjohnsfleamarket.com.
Football season is here, and to celebrate, Nissan of St. Augustine announces its 2012 kickoff. We're kicking all remaining 2011 vehicles off the lot with the biggest discounts of the year. If you've been waiting on buying a new car, now is the best time to buy. Get some of the highest incentives and lowest interest rates of the year on all remaining 2011s. Save $5,000 off MSRP, $8,000 off MSRP, even up to $10,000 off MSRP. And every new Nissan we sell is backed by the Nissan of St. Augustine lifetime warranty. Unlimited miles, unlimited time. Plus, nominate your favorite high school football player for Nissan of St. Augustine's Player of the Week by going to 1420sports.com, and your school could win $5,000. It's the end of the line for 2011s at Nissan of St. Augustine, 2755 US 1 South. Call 1-800-NEW-NISSAN or click 800newnissan.com.
Dealer retains all rebates and incentives with approved credit. Example, 2011 Armada, stock number 617020, list price 46040, sale price 3604.
Okay, we're back. National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. We have another guest. Good morning. You're on the air.
Doug, Jay Brown, how are you?
Hey, Jay. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great, doing great.
Well,
glad to be on.
Thank you. And tell us what you do and what is your firm, where you're from, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, I'm originally from Georgia and got down to Jacksonville with an offer to work for a bankruptcy judge at a law school, Judge Funk, who has been a judge in Jacksonville, I want to say for almost 20 years, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Ackerman Centerfit Law Firm, which is a long-time Florida-based firm, was opening its Jacksonville office in 2000 when I was finishing my clerkship, and was lucky to get a position with them, and have been here ever since doing bankruptcy work and commercial litigation.
Well, very good. Tell us a little bit more about Ackerman Centerfit. You said it's Florida-based. Is there any other offices in Florida besides Jacksonville and any others across the country?
Sure. When I started in 2000, we were only in Florida and had about 200 lawyers and other professionals. Today, we're around 500 professionals, and we're in Washington, D.C., New York, L.A., Dallas, kind of expanding into more of a national footprint, but still have most of our roots in Florida.
Okay, very good. Make sure that you're talking right into the phone, because I'm sometimes missing you, and I want to make sure everybody hears you. You are a bankruptcy attorney. How many years have you been into that line?
2 years with Judge Funk as a law clerk, and I've been doing that since in private practice since 2000. So we're coming up on 14 years.
Excellent. As a bankruptcy attorney, Who do you work for? Do you work for everybody? Are you working for the guy that's going into bankruptcy? Are you working for the lender? Tell me a little bit about what happens when things go into bankruptcy.
Sure. My practice, and I won't say as much for everybody in my firm because we have people that focus solely on representing lenders and other specific parties, but my practice is representing various parties in bankruptcy cases.
Okay.
Because my firm does a lot of work for creditors and trustees, we don't do a lot for debtors, but we do when we can, and we do have clients that we represent in workouts and if need be, in taking them through a bankruptcy process. From the lender side, we do a lot of that work representing financial institutions and private lenders and enforcing their rights in bankruptcy cases, and also have a strong practice representing trustees or other liquidating agents or receivers in bankruptcies and other liquidation proceedings, and those are people that come into place generally after a lawsuit or a bankruptcy has been filed. They come in and serve a role in those cases.
Excellent. Our job here is I guess, twofold. The radio show mission statement is to provide educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country. But also, we have a varied listener base. We have bankers, we have real estate media, we have investors, we have attorneys, we have people who want to know about the upcoming auctions and how they can get more involved. And you and I talked about it. There's a couple of things in bankruptcy auctions that are a little bit different and not a whole bunch knows about it. And so I asked you if you would explain the stalking horse offer, if you would.
I'd be glad to. Generally, when you have a fairly sizable asset in a bankruptcy case, and these are generally Chapter 11 cases, either where a company's trying to reorganize or you're using a Chapter 11, which is a more complex bankruptcy than a Chapter 7, which is a pure liquidation. The company's using that to wind down their affairs and stay in control of the process. You'll sell an asset, and I'll use real estate in the examples that I'm talking about here.
Sure.
So the debtor will file bankruptcy, and they have a real estate asset that they are looking to sell, and one way that they want to do that in the bankruptcy process, everything is open. You have to tell your creditors everything. You have to file schedules. You basically become an open book. You go through, they would propose a sale process, and in a lot of instances, you go out to market and try to find someone who says, look, I'll buy this asset at X dollar price, and I'll be your lead bidder to start out with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what is called the stalking horse, and that stalking horse typically will come on as under certain conditions. They're doing a lot of due diligence, and if another party comes in and wants to kind of ride on their tails and say, well, if the stalking horse did this due diligence, then they must know what they're doing, and the stalking horse then says, well, we shouldn't have to pay to get an appraisal or pay to look at the property or pay for an environmental report or the various kind of due diligence that you would do in looking at an asset and coming up with your bid price. And so what the courts do is, in connection a lot of times with approving a stalking horse, is recognize that stalking horse is providing value and will authorize that stalking horse to be compensated in generally either reimbursement of expenses and traditionally what is referred to in bankruptcy world as a breakup fee. And that's to make them whole if, when there is ultimately the auction conducted by a bankruptcy court or by a third party for the work that they've done in the diligence and bringing a bid up and kind of being that front runner and saying, we're willing to pay this much for the property. And then the other thing that goes on with that is the debtor will go forward, the debtor seller of the property will go forward to the court and say, court, in addition to approving the stalking horse and making them whole through approving a breakup fee, we want other protections. We want to set bid parameters. We want to set pre-auction deposit parameters. We want to make sure people are qualified bidders by setting up these parameters. And a court will enter, and I pulled out before the call today the Amelia Island Company bankruptcy sale procedures order that was a relatively recent sale of a large project in Northeast Florida that the Omni Hotel system ended up buying, but they weren't the stalking horse in that case. The stalking horse in that case actually was awarded a 1%, approximately 1% breakup fee on their initial offer price of just over $47 million, and also certain expense reimbursements. And the court, I was at that auction, and it lasted until very late at night. It was some contest, but the court ultimately sold that property for much, much more than what that breakup, for what the initial $47 million plus price was. Omni was the successful bidder, and I think everybody went away happy, and including, I think it was a real good thing for Northeast Florida to have such a good entity come in and buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I look at that as kind of a success across the board on how that process works and how it was beneficial just about to everybody that was involved in the process. So that's a long-winded talk. I probably went off on a couple of tangents there, Doug. Sorry.
No, that was good. And again, our job is to educate, and stalking horse offer is really something that's in the bankruptcy court, and not a whole bunch of real estate brokers who listen in know about that, and I want them to get involved in bankruptcy court auctions and representing buyers and being buyers themselves. Jay, tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Sure. Well, my firm's website is www.akerman.com. That's AKERMAN.com. And probably, Doug, the best way to reach me is you can find me on the website, but my email address is Jacob, JACOB, .brown, BROWN, @Akerman, AKERMAN.com. I'll be glad to respond to inquiries to the extent that I can.
Well, hopefully you'll get some business. And Jay, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you in the future. Akerman Centerfit is a great law firm and well known in Florida, and it sounds like it's becoming a national presence too. So, again, thank you for calling in. You have a wonderful weekend.
You too, Doug. Thanks for the opportunity.
Take care.
Bye.
MarkNet Alliance is a national, membership-based network of 41 auction companies. Our companies are successful auction professionals with proven track records and thriving businesses. The MarkNet companies have a staff of over 540 employees who are working hard every day to meet the goals of their clients during our ever-changing economy. MarkNet companies are able to achieve these goals through cutting-edge technologies and ever-growing investor pools. To view the hundreds of auctions currently being conducted, or for more information, visit marknetalliance.com.
I'm United States Senator Marco Rubio, and you're listening to News Talk 1240 WFOY, St. Augustine, Florida, the voice of St. Augustine.
Okay, we're back. We have another call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Doug, J.J. Dower.
Hey, J.J., how are you doing, sir?
Great, great.
Tell us where you're from and what you do.
I am in the real estate auction business, and I am from La Follette, Tennessee. And I'm with a company called Hack Ayers Auction and Real Estate.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. I want to give you some congrats. I saw you last at the National Auctioneers Association conference in Orlando a couple of months ago, and you were elected vice president of the National Auctioneers Association. So kudos to you, and thank you for basically volunteering your time and effort and a lot of money to travel back and forth and everything to help out the auction profession. So thank you.
Yes, it's been a busy time. In fact, I just had to get off a conference call with NAA in order to make your show, and so it's been exciting, but it's time consuming also.
Hey, don't get me in hot water now.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I didn't. I told them in advance I had to be off by 10:40. So
Good.
We took care of what had to be done.
Actually, Chris Longley, the Deputy Executive Director, was on the show earlier. We were talking about the auction bill, which is an effort by Senator Brown from the Senate in Massachusetts and Congressman Tim Denham from California that is trying to auction off up to 45,000 government surplus properties, which is really a win-win for taxpayers as a whole, because they are going to be selling properties. That money will go into the budget. The properties will then become new properties that taxpayers will actually pay taxes for. And I don't think people realize how much it costs to have a property just sitting there. Tell us your experiences, because I know you work with banks, and the costs are sometimes a big deal.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's kind of a threefold situation. Obviously, our government needs money.
Yes.
It's a great way to raise revenue. When this property gets sold off, if it gets sold off, it goes on to the local property tax rolls in all these states and counties across the country, which is a huge win for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you take some rural counties out here that happen to have a large federal prison system or national, parks, recreation, whatever. A lot of taxpayers are carrying the burden for the government to own that property, so that surplus property that's not being used and sitting there is really accomplishing nothing for anyone. So, it's the same principle with a bank. Sometimes the cheapest thing a bank does is foreclose on the piece of property. The real expense comes after it comes back into their inventory. A lot of these properties require having electric on, water on, insurance, maintenance. I mean, the costs go on, and holding costs are astronomical to lenders and not any different to the government and to the taxpayers. So, I think this surplus property that's been sitting there for all these years and obviously not being used, probably not going to be used anytime in the future either. So I hope it passes in both the House and the Senate. I think it's a great way to create some buzz, not only with the auction industry and about the auction method of marketing, but I think it's a great way for the American citizens out here to have an opportunity to purchase something maybe they haven't had an opportunity to purchase.
Well, it's a win-win, and we talked about the hope that it's going to be offered these properties individually and not as a big group. And I really can't stand it when a REIT buys 1,000 properties at a time. All it does is the value when they try to sell it again goes up again to the end user, and we're trying to get to the end user. We want the people in that town, in that suburb, in that area to be able to bid on this property and to make it better, to pay taxes on it, to hire new people, to pay for services for the plumber and the electrician and the office equipment. We want to do this one by one if we can. Do you agree?
Oh, definitely. Liquidating these assets are kind of like these guys' politics. All auction sales are local, and all politics are local, and it kind of goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And offering it in the local communities instead of in bundles will obviously net more revenue, create more excitement,
yep,
and offer more opportunities to more citizens.
Well, I agree. You have a involvement with MarkNet Alliance. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, Doug, I was one of the 3 founders, and since then we have grown now to 43 companies in 22 states. And just this past month, I've always sat on the board and been the treasurer, but in the past month I've taken the position of CEO of MarkNet. So actually my time is kind of split now between Illinois. I have a place there, and also my place here in Tennessee. So I'm a kind of a commuter, you might say. But primarily, it's not just the two places. Last week, I was in Jackson, Tennessee, helping a MarkNet member do an auction. Then I was in Paragould, Arkansas on Wednesday, and Grenada, Mississippi on Thursday, and Birmingham, Alabama on Friday.
So what you're doing is you're building up your frequent flyer miles. Is that correct?
That and a lot of seat time in a vehicle.
Well, MarkNet Alliance is something that appears to be a go-to place now for auctions. I have seen on your website up to 1,000 properties at a particular day, but it usually goes from 200 to 400 properties. And as an investor, and our job in this radio station is to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country, we always get questions from the general public. Well, how do I find out about these auctions? You know, I'm interested. What do I do? Well, your site, MarkNet Alliance, has really become a go-to site because there is just hundreds and hundreds of auctions going on across the country, and that's got to be good for all of these 43 firms because the hits are amazing. I don't know the numbers exactly, but hundreds of thousands of unique visitors each month come to your MarkNet Alliance website.
That's right. And, you know, Doug, we're doing anything, a small month anymore for us will be 300 sales.
Wow.
And our record has been 1,000 in a 30-day window.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're averaging 375,000 unique visitors. That's the first-time visitor. That's not counting the repeaters that come back with the same IP address every month.
Yep.
You know, currently there's probably, you know, a lot of our business is now conducted in an online format with at least some kind of online bidding, even at a live auction event.
Mm-hmm.
So currently there's probably 13 or 14,000 items available on our website to purchase, you know, in an online type format where it offers you the convenience of being in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, or Hawaii. Taking advantage of what we're having to offer. So, you know, it's been great, and a lot of our companies, as you know, are auction industry leaders and have been in, you know, second and third generation firms now, have been around, and they're just not Johnny-come-lately. They've been here, and they're going to stay, and they're going to continue on, and due to the economic situation we're in, you know, they've all figured out how to revamp and remodel their business, you know, to go to a new level. A lot of our firms are seeing unbelievable growth in a time where a lot of things are stagnated in the marketplace, and a lot of our customers that we're servicing has found that we're offering a unique approach to getting rid of assets and exposing it to the market, unlike the traditional listing method where maybe they sell it 30 days or maybe it's 3 years.
Yep.
You know, in a 30 or 60-day window, we can have that asset liquidated for them. And our buyers have enjoyed the convenience of being able to sit in front of their computer or taking the time to come out to the event if they're interested in the excitement and the buzz that an auction sale creates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where it's kind of a win-win, and we're finding that, you know, your traditional auction buyer who's been around for 30 years, that's been their thing. They go to auction sales. Well, that group of people fit in that 40, 50, 60 category.
Mm-hmm.
That 20 and 30-year-old category that's the new buying public, a new marketplace, they're more interested in sitting there and placing a bid on something at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing the times that people are registering for our sales and placing their bids. It's just a different world we live in.
And across the country and across the world.
That's right. I mean, the Internet has made the world flat now. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're located. Our web traffic comes from Asia to Europe, you know, South Africa. It's everywhere. And, you know, actually one of our companies, I just did a sale. One of the sale I did last week in Jackson, one of the buyers who purchased that night in Jackson was actually in Iraq.
Wow.
He's actually has a dual citizen deal. He has a home in Nashville, Tennessee, but he's from Iraq, and he made that purchase that night sitting in Iraq.
It is amazing. It has become a smaller world, believe it or not.
That's right, exactly.
Tell us about your company. How can people get a hold of you, JJ?
The easiest way is go to www.ayersauctionrealty.com. That's AYERS, auctionrealty.com. They can call office number 423-562-4941. Call my cell phone, 423-592-7067. And a lot of exciting things going on, and going out now to get ready for a big commercial auction tomorrow that I think will be a success. So, and it's great to talk to you again, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, and we're going to keep in touch because we need to get this auction bill passed, and got some ideas that I want to talk over with you, but it's the right thing for the taxpayers. It's the right thing for the government to do, and I want to thank you and appreciate your time this morning.
All right, thanks, Doug.
Take care now. All right, that was J.J. Dower from Ayers Auction and Real Estate from Tennessee. We thank him very much for calling, and again, appreciate the time he has spent not only for his company but the auction profession.
MarkNet Alliance is a national, membership-based network of 41 auction companies. Our companies are successful auction professionals with proven track records and thriving businesses. The MarkNet companies have a staff of over 540 employees who are working hard every day to meet the goals of their clients during our ever-changing economy. MarkNet companies are able to achieve these goals through cutting-edge technologies and ever-growing investor pools. To view the hundreds of auctions currently being conducted, or for more information, visit marknetalliance.com.
Okay, we're back. Again, this is the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show, and we want to talk about our sponsor is Rowell Auctions. They are the national real estate auction firm that started in 1936. They are a member of the MarkNet Alliance. They do online auctions, on-site auctions, and ballroom auctions. They have offices in Florida, New Jersey, California, Georgia, and have alliances with auctioneers and real estate brokers across the country. We've got a quick call here. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Hey, is this Allison?
Yes, it is.
Allison, we've got about 1 minute, and I know you're from Rowell Auctions. I was just talking about our sponsor of the program. Tell us real quick in about 30 seconds what's coming up, and then give us your website.
I would love to do that as fast as I can. Website is www.rowellauctions.com, and we are slam pack for the month of October. We've got an auction tomorrow, Colquitt County, 42 acres. October the 1st, 350 acres in Crawford County. October the 6th, we have a charity event. Ending October the 6th, we have commercial real estate in Albany, Georgia. Got 11 offices, commercial building. October the 7th, we have 5 acres, 3 tracts in Beaufort, North Carolina. October the 11th, we've got real estate and personal property, vehicles, trailers, tools.
Allison, I'm going to have to cut you off.
Not a problem.
Give us the website one more time.
Sure, RowellAuctions.com.
And your telephone number is?
800-323-8388.
Allison, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it.
No problem, Doug.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, that's a wrap, and thank you, everybody. I appreciate everyone's call today and listening in. This is the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show.